This is a 4 or 5-year-old grade mare. We don't really know much about her background. She hadn't been messed with before her owner brought her over here, but I call her Sheba, and we've just been working together for about 4 months. She's a little bit of a challenge to start. She tends to react before she thinks about what's happening and what's going on, and so she gets a little worried. But anyways, we've been riding now for about 60 days. She's had a couple days off, and what I like to do with her, you'll notice that I'm riding her in a bozal instead of a bit. That's just because she needs some work done on her teeth, and the bit was really bothering her. She moves pretty good off leg. She gets a little worried sometimes and wants to go a little bit fast, so what I gotta do with her is really just keep her feet contained and keep them moving kind of slow. She wants to run off and get worried about stuff sometimes, and I've just got to make sure that whatever she's worried about doesn't worry me. And she always tends to be really fresh after a couple days off. So we're just going to kind of walk around here, get her kind of jiving with me and feeling good. That's my main thing, is I want my horse to be feeling good while I'm riding it. I don't want to ever put it in a situation where it feels like it's out of control and wants to get really upset. Ooh. So I'll just stop her and back her up. One of the main things about this horse that was really hard was that right there. She doesn't work naturally off of her back end. She has a fairly short amount of space between her croup and her tail head, and so she doesn't naturally work off of her rear end. I'm not gonna ask her to do a lot of work off of her back end, just because she's not physically made for it, and the ground that I'm riding in today isn't sufficient to ask her to do anything real strenuous. Plus she doesn't have shoes on. She's barefoot. So anyways, there's just a lot of factors to consider, and I just want to do what's best for my horse. We're just going to trot around a little bit. She likes to really trot out pretty quick and get worried. So I'm just going to kind of hold her. She's normally not quite this fresh. Here we go. She's been in a stall for a couple days. Believe it or not, it was raining pretty bad this morning. It's kind of yucky weather. But a lot of what I do is just going to be through my fingers on her. When I turn her, I don't want her to drop her shoulders and stuff. So I'll ask her to neck rein at the same time as I'm using my outside leg to keep her shoulders and neck in a straight line. And if she gets too much on the inside and wants to kind of lean, then I'll use my inside rein and kind of tip her nose to the inside. And she's pretty light on her sides. She listens pretty good. And so I'm not gonna just jab her, but I'm gonna use my left leg right there. There we go. And the more you trot her around, I do a lot of trotting with her, she'll calm down a lot. I really want her to learn to trot slow. She's always in a hurry to get places. But if you just kind of slow your body down, and I'm gonna hold her face till she's going the speed that I want. And she will throw her head around a lot. A lot of that has to do with the dental work she needs done. And her owner has an appointment for that next week. But she's, like I said, she hadn't had anything done with her. She was barely halter broke about 4 months ago, and she was kind of wanted to be a little bit of a crazy horse. She tries to get soft in the face, but then she thinks that that's all that I want. She doesn't understand that I want her to slow down her trot too. When she's doing what I want, I'll leave her alone and I'll let her have her face. But when I pick up like this and she kind of fights it, she's like trying to push through it. Even if her nose is down, she's really heavy in her front end. And that's also because she doesn't have a lot of hindquarters to work with. Another thing that's kind of funky about her, like right now, I'm trying to just get her shoulders to move out to the left. Keep her nose kind of tipped to the inside. Ooh. She, one of the first things I did with her was put a good stop on her because she really likes to try to run off. If she gets scared, that's her first instinct is to bolt. And in my experience, and I may be wrong, but my experience, that's pretty typical of mares. She's bucked a little bit when I first started riding her, but nothing really bad, and she doesn't really have the heart for it, but she's always just been one to just leave and run off. So I'm going to do a lot of bending and zigzags, and I'm bumping the inside rein with my fingers. I want her to stay really light, but I want her to follow her nose around. So I want to make sure that I don't just hold that rein and let her learn to lean on it. It's got to be rhythmic bumping. And like right there, she wants to move her shoulders in, and it might seem like a lot of boring, slow work, but it really, really helps them to learn how to just carry themselves, because it's hard for them to learn how to balance a saddle and a rider. And, you know, they might look really good out in the pasture, but throw a lot of other factors into the equation, and you just got to teach them. Like right now, she feels really good. This is what I want. She's on a loose rein. She seems really relaxed. She just changed her disposition to where we're ready to get a little bit of work done. We can trot around here and she's not gonna get upset. So now I'm gonna ask her to lope. I'm gonna pick up my inside rein just a little bit to tip her nose, cue her with my outside leg. And she lopes kind of funny. She's just really awkward sometimes in the way she carries herself, but the more I've done it, the more she's learned how to carry herself better. And she was pretty scared of everything when she first got here, but she's really using the thinking side of her brain now. Like I said, she's fresh when you first get on her, but after she's warmed up, she does better. Now we'll do a little turn here. I want to engage those hindquarters and work off of those a little. There we go. I lifted up that inside rein again just a little bit, cued with my outside leg. I don't really mess with her face very much at this stage when we're loping. The only thing I want to make sure of is that her shoulder stays up. She's trying to be light in her front end because it's a lot more muscly and there's a lot more meat in her front end than there is in her rear end. And so asking her to figure out how to carry herself in a circle and keep her head down and stay collected and do this and do that, that's a lot. So we just work on one thing at a time. And the more relaxed she gets, her head will actually go down on its own. But I push her with my seat when we're loping. It really helps her to stay in a 3-beat lope. She might push in a little bit with her shoulders, and I'll just kind of bump that inside rein a little bit, kind of move my inside leg on her belly. It's just as important, if not more important, to take a leg off and give them somewhere to go as it is to put a leg on and tell them to go somewhere. And so when I'm putting my inside leg on her, I got to take my outside leg off a little bit so that her body can move out from the circle. And then with this horse, I always break her down to a trot before I stop her, because like I said, it's just not fair to ask her to stop so hard with no shoes and bad ground and a lot of other things, just her build and everything. And now she's really calm. Her head's down. She feels really good right now. And this horse has really taught me a lot about patience. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. We kind of have messed with learning how to cross over in the front. I might get a couple of good crosses and I'll just let her go, walk out of it, and then we'll go the other way. But my main thing is I really don't want to be like jerking on her and stuff and making her upset. And see, that time she kind of tried to stop her forward motion and cross underneath, so we're just going to trot out of it. I'm not going to get mad at her. And I'll slow her down to a walk and we'll try it again. And when I do this, I'm tipping her nose with my right hand and asking her to move her shoulders with my neck rein. That was decent. We'll take that. Anyways, I'm tipping her nose with the inside hand and this rein against her neck. She feels that and knows to move her shoulders over. The inside rein is going to control her nose and the outside rein is going to control her shoulders. And then if she's not wanting to move her shoulders anywhere, if she's really stiff or something, I'll kick her shoulder over with my foot, the side of my foot. And if she's still being really stiff, then I'll use my spur and roll it on that shoulder. But like what I said about taking something off, you've got to make sure that you've given her somewhere to go. Because if you're holding on to her and you put her in a bind whenever you get onto them like that with your spurs and you don't release them right away when they do the right thing, they can really get upset, and that's really something you got to be kind of careful about. Whoops, dropped my rein. We'll just kind of try it again going this way. That was really good. It was only one step, and I know her hindquarters kind of phased out a little bit, but that's okay. Now we'll work on moving her hindquarters around. I'm going to pick up this inside rein, and I want her to keep walking. Now I'm just using the side of my left foot to bump her hindquarters. As soon as I feel him step over like that, I'll let her walk out of it. And I'm making sure to take my outside leg off of her so her hindquarters have somewhere to go. Once again, I'm going to kind of hold her nose. She's definitely one-sided over the other. And ideally, I'd like her to keep her forward motion, but she's still learning. It's really hard for them to do that, to move their hips around while they're still walking. But eventually what that leads to, and I'll try it on her, is you'll just be kind of walking around in a circle and just kind of pick up and kick their hips over when you're walking in a straight line. There, she tried it. She kind of shouldered in at the same time, but she's just learning. I'm not going to pick on her about everything and make her do everything perfect. But you see how she's just so much more relaxed now. She really enjoys having a job and having something to do. And I do a lot of it at a walk after I get her ridden a little bit and get the fresh off of her. We'll do a lot of walking. See, she's even trotting a lot better now. She's a lot slower, relaxed, got a loose rein. She feels good. I'll just work on neck reining a little bit, you know, low key, kind of guide her around the arena. I'm not gonna get mad at her if she messes up a little bit. I know she's trying. And she's one of those horses that if you get mad at her, you're about to fight a losing battle, and it's just not worth it. You end up going backwards in your training. That's a mistake I made with her at the beginning. I approached her with the same attitude that I approach all the horses I've worked with, and she's really taught me that you can't do that. I tried to make her fit into what I knew how to do, and I came out here every day with what I wanted to accomplish and my own agenda with her. And then she showed me really quick that that wasn't happening with her. And I just had to come out here every day and see what I could get done with her instead of having in my mind what I wanted to get done with her. And that's really helped a lot. And then I had some friends of ours pony her around on one of their good old solid horses, and they one of them got on her, and while the other one was ponying, and I videoed it, and she did really good. And then after that, I decided I had the guts to get on her, because to be honest, I wasn't sure if I would ever ride this horse. She was really, really tough to get started. From loading in the horse trailer when I wanted to take her somewhere, to lunging, to putting a saddle on, and man, she's come a long ways. Ooh. And she kind of wants to get in the ground and stop, but I'm not gonna make her. If she does it naturally on her own, that's okay. But I don't want to injure her or hurt her by making her get in the ground really hard. See, now she's just totally chilled out and wants to just kind of walk around. We'll work on neck reining a little more, kind of zigzag around. And when I'm doing this, I'm taking the inside leg off and I'm putting the outside leg on a little. And then we'll go straight. And then we'll go to the right. Kind of the same thing. There we go. Oh, and then when I back up, I pick them up so I can hold them right here, and I use my calves, and I bump my calves against them. And if they're not wanting to back up good, if they're kind of pushing against the bit or whatever I have on them, then I'll just use my fingers and kind of rock their mouth like this. See, she's doing it and she doesn't have a bit in, but. And then when they step back, I'll kind of release my fingers. But if they throw their head up, I'm not gonna pull on them or anything, but I am gonna hold them until their nose drops. I don't wanna do anything to make them, you know, rear up or anything like that. I just wanna kinda rock them back a little bit. She did really good. And if they do everything that I want, I don't ride them for a really long time, because the reward is getting to get put up and everything. And I mean, seriously, I didn't think that I would ever ride this horse, so I'm pretty happy that I don't lose sleep over her anymore. She's turned out to be pretty nice. I mean, she's not super athletic or anything like that, but she'll make somebody a really nice partner, you know, for whatever they want to do. She may not be the best at it, but she'll definitely try. Ooh. And that is this horse.